Welcome to a special episode as XPlay presents Beyond the King of Kong. Only XPlay has the stars of the acclaimed documentary before the movie was released and new updates on how the movie changed their lives. I'm Morgan Webb.
And I'm Adam Cecil. We're coming to you from the G4 studios in Los Angeles, and we've got a great episode for you. We've got brand new interviews and never before seen footage of Billy Mitchell in action. Is he really that evil? Well, we'll let you decide for yourself. And later in the show, brace yourself for the big budget Hollywood trailer for The King of Kong 2. But first, let's kick this special off with a glimpse into the past to see where The King of Kong's rivalry got its start.
Prior to the time when Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell were the Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell, they were just two guys who loved video games. Here's a little story about how they both met a gorilla who changed their lives and how The King of Kong came to be.
Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell couldn't be any different. But before they ever met, they shared one important thing, their love of a particular game.
My friends were playing this game called Donkey Kong, and I hadn't played it yet. So I went to this pizza place one night, tried it, played it one time and fell in love with it and never stopped. I purchased one at this store in Seattle and brought it into my fraternity, and I was playing and then started getting into the 400,000s and the 500,000s.
Basically, my dad opened businesses, restaurant and lounge, sort of like Cheers on TV. And I started playing games in there. Around the time when I was 16 or so, I started playing an unbelievable amount of games. I got better and better. I developed an obsession to be the best. And I just had it in my mind that there was no way anybody could beat me.
In search of a way to compare his Donkey Kong score with the rest of the world, Billy called up Walter Day at Twin Galaxies.
We tell him what the world record is, and he got very excited on the telephone and just flatly told me that there's no way this score could be true. I says, why not? He says, because it's higher than my score, and I know that I'm the world's best player.
Steve had moved back home and had plenty of time to perfect his score.
I got to this kill screen, and I couldn't figure out what happened. My score at that point was like 967,000 is what I had, and this was like in 91. And then at that point, I just quit playing because it was like, what's the point if you can't get past this screen? And then I sold it because I wanted to buy a drum set.
By the time Steve had given up, Billy had already held 6 video game world records, including Pac-Man and Donkey Kong.
I would say my favorite game was Donkey Kong. It was Donkey Kong because it was extremely difficult. And again, the very best players in the world and their high scores on an entire game were less than the highest score I got on a single man. It was the first game that brought me into the spotlight.
2000 is when I looked it up, saw that Twin Galaxies had a website, and the record was like 874,000. And I heard about this kill screen. I go, oh, that's what that is. So it made sense back, 10 years later. When I realized the record was only 874,000, I go, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and just buy a machine and break the record just for fun. I wasn't really trying to get any fame or notoriety from it, just trying to get my name on a website.
It was at this point that Steve and Billy's lives crossed paths with director Seth Gordon.
I'd spent my summers as a kid at Fun Spot, which is this arcade that's featured in the film. I'd go there every summer growing up, and I could get tokens for report cards. I would make a pilgrimage there during college whenever I could get nearby, and it turned out that Steve Wiebe, who was contesting the Donkey Kong record, had some chance to go to Fun Spot to compete for his record, and the very fact he might go there was the reason I was in. I just wanted to be a part of this thing.
Seth captured the ensuing Kongapalooza on camera, and the result was an extraordinary documentary called The King of Kong, thrusting Steve and Billy into the annals of video game history. Now, Billy Mitchell has claimed that fancy editing techniques made him out to be the villain in The King of Kong. This may very well be the case, but we here at XPlay would never dispute the ability of television to make you look like an ass. Hell, it happens to me every day. But we have some clips of Billy that might reveal the true nature of the man. Or is this the magic of editing again?
Welcome to the philosophy of Billy Mitchell, with your ever humble host, Billy Mitchell.
I like when I'm going through the line in Las Vegas and there's 10 video game players with me, and they go, "You're that Pac-Man guy, aren't you?" And I start laughing, and I say, "Yes." And they have me go through and the next 9 guys have to pay. So a free meal is no big deal, but I like the fact that the other 9 guys got to pay. Somebody will say to me, "Hi Bill, how you doing?" I'll say, "Why don't you mind your own business?" That's a little humorous, but it's just a private side too. People will ask me for my phone number and I don't give it out. Sometimes I pretend, I say, "Well, I never call myself, so I don't really know what the number is." An average day in the life of Billy Mitchell. People often ask me, they say, "What, do you sleep with a joystick under your pillow?" And I say, "Well, I would if I slept." So people say to me, "Oh, so you say you're just not going to eat something fried and you just don't ever eat it again?" Yeah, that's right. So I don't really understand how people don't quit smoking. You just say, "Well, I'm not going to smoke anymore." Is that obsessive or extreme? I don't know, but so far it's worked for me.
Do you have Pac-Man?
Do I have Pac-Man in my home? Yes, I do. Why, do you want to borrow it?
I would come over your house and play.
Okay, I go first. I was well known in my area or in my circle, but it was Twin Galaxies that brought it to a national level. They brought it to Life magazine, and that's incredible, and Time, and Sports Illustrated, and PM magazine, and Entertainment Tonight, and CNN, and Stars and Stripes. Shall I go on?
If I needed to sum up Billy Mitchell in one word, what would I say? What would it be?
Awesome.
Do you ever get tired of talking about it?
No, not at all.
Right. Now, we've seen how the movie came together, but what's happened since the cameras stopped rolling? And where does the Donkey Kong record stand now? Well, let's just say that Billy Mitchell wasn't going to take this lying down.
I was at Comic-Con going to kind of promote the movie. Ed Cunningham, the producer, said, "Hey, Billy, we got some news. Billy has regained the title again."
In July of 2007, at an 80s-themed mortgage brokers convention, Billy Mitchell beat Steve's record score by 1,100 points in front of a live audience.
And I was like a little devastated. I wanted to start going for the record right then and there. They've changed the rules now, require a referee to be in person at wherever you are, and the board's got to be certified and tested, and Walter Day or whoever's got to be there when it's opened and put into the machine. A lot more hoops to jump through to get a score validated.
Plus, the guy's got a job, but don't count Steve out yet.
I had an email from a guy in Texas that said, "When you're ready, let me know. We'll fly you down here. We'll give you $5,000 if you get the record, and we'll pay for your travels and food and all that." So I also have to tell him what time. I think I can get $1,125,000 as my top score now. It's a matter of having everything come together at the right time. If I go and play live, I think it would require like a month of practice.
So the saga definitely continues.
And so does the drama. To this day, Steve is still mystified at Billy's behavior. The first time they met at a classic gaming expo, Billy was actually very friendly.
Once I left there, everything seemed to like flip. Billy all of a sudden didn't want anything to do with me. All of a sudden I was like the Satan, the Antichrist in his mind.
But Steve refuses to say anything bad about his nemesis, who was portrayed as a pretty big jerk in the movie.
I thought it was all tongue-in-cheek, everything that he said. I could look past it as he's not trying to be arrogant. That's just his sense of humor.
World Record Headquarters can help you. I'm private. At times I'm modest about things. At times I'm cocky. But I'm rather friendly. And the truth is, I don't mean any harm towards anybody at all.
So, who is the real Billy? Stick around for more of Mr. Mitchell later in the show and judge for yourself.
Coming up on X-Play, we take a look at the aftermath of A Fistful of Quarters. Find out how Steve Wiebe ended up on stage with My Chemical Romance, and why Billy Mitchell hasn't seen the movie that made him a household name. Then we talk with King of Kong director Seth Gordon and get the latest news on a fictionalized version of the real-life story. Plus, we've got never-before-seen footage of Billy Mitchell in action. The man who everyone loves to hate is the king of another arcade classic. Discover why his Pac-Man score will never be broken. And we've got the explosive, apocalyptic trailer for King of Kong 2. It's Judgment Day. Stay tuned.
joystick stuck up in the handhold. You're in line for a pitfall, kid, you get owned. In terms of your two-player mastery, this is once per scan line, not hide and seek. And I'm the pride of geeks who are shameless and brazen in their snobbery over whose console is most ancient and most Asian. Bootleg or legit, emulated rear projection on the side of a blip. Elevated, point up, point out the pixels, but don't miss your button finger whip or snap of this old rapper will top your score with his best. Front a lot already did a Polaroidal attest. It's a nerd's world.
There is nothing like...
G4 is like an under-the-bed dwelling troll who mesmerizes you with his glowing chest full of all the fun stuff you're into. And he can help you out with the ladies. He's good with the ladies. Anyhow, G4 is like that, more or less.
A new era in gaming is dawning. The big three will collide at E3 in the battle for next-gen supremacy. Who will shape the future? G4 presents E3 08 Live. Which gaming Goliath will push game design to new limits? What hot new titles will shock and awe you? Only G4 is there live to find out. E3 08 Live. Week-long coverage starts July 14th, only on G4.
Welcome back to this special episode as XPlay presents Beyond the King of Kong. The widespread success of the documentary, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, changed Steve Wiebe's life forever. No longer just a mild-mannered teacher, Steve is a celebrity, a title he doesn't mind. Billy Mitchell, on the other hand, might have preferred the film to die a lady in the water like death.
When we were making the movie, it's like, are people going to care about this is one of the questions I would ask Seth. He was like, if we do our job right.
Obviously, director Seth Gordon did his job right.
Every screening I had seen the film in theaters, people erupted in applause at certain spots. So it's one of those, when I tell people, you have to see this documentary, I really mean it. Truly one of the best docs of the last 10 years.
Steve has gotten tons of attention since the film came out, and we're thrilled about it. Every time he would come to a screening of the film, whether it was at a festival or whatever, he would get a standing ovation.
Soon, Steve was meeting celebrities and was even asked to play a drum solo during a My Chemical Romance concert.
So I went out there and 2,000 fans with drums mic'd, you know, like I've never had a mic before. He hit the floor, Tom was like boom, and the bass drums like this thunderous. Fans were never had anyone be screaming like that.
He's the kind of guy that makes the phrase nice guys finish last often true, but in this case it didn't happen to go down that way.
Seth is currently living out his dream as well.
Vince Vaughn saw Kong and had an upcoming film. I was asked to read the script for that film. One thing led to another, and all of a sudden we were shooting a $80 million movie.
So I'm gonna be a cameo appearance in that. I'm playing video games in one scene.
While Steve and Seth have been reaping the benefits of Kong, what about Billy Mitchell?
As far as I know, Billy Mitchell claims to have never seen the film. That hasn't stopped him, however, from launching a pretty direct and organized counter-campaign in the press, smearing the film. So, I mean, if you can reconcile those two facts, explain it to me, because he apparently has many specific issues with different parts of the film he hasn't yet seen.
I gotta think with such a big ego that Billy Mitchell has, that he's definitely seen the film. I'll bet he owns it on DVD.
Haven't gotten enough Kong yet? Seth Gordon is already in the script phase of adapting his documentary into a narrative feature with New Line.
I can't think of a case in film history where someone who directed a documentary about the subject will also be writing the script for and directing a narrative feature.
We'd like to see the casting for that one. As for Steve Wiebe...
Well, I got a CD coming out this summer for my music. I've been working on that.
And of course, you can catch the King of Kong right here on G4.
G4 seems like the perfect home for Kong, given the way it's cornered the gaming market on TV, and I feel like the folks that watch the network are going to enjoy the film.
I'm totally going to buy Steve Wiebe's CD. Donkey Kong isn't the only world record that Billy Mitchell holds. Another classic game has fallen to this gaming giant, and this is a record that no unknown teacher can top. Here's how he did it.
I'd say I started in 1981. I played it feverishly until about 1985. And then I laid off it and I played it again. I started in 1999 when there was a quest for the perfect game.
Perfect score on Pac-Man was 3,333,360 points, and not 1 point more. Perfect game meant that you ate every energizer, what you call the energy pellets, every blue man, every point, every fruit, and didn't miss anything.
When you get to the last board, there's only the left half of the screen. The right half, there isn't enough memory within the game. It's what we call the blind side.
Within the blind side, there are 9 edible dots, only 5 of which are visible.
When you eat those 9 edible dots on the bad side, there's no more points to achieve. You let the guy die. Those 9 edible dots reappear and you eat them again. You do that 6 times. If you don't get there on your first man, you can't have a perfect score.
Once Billy had figured out the secret of the perfect score, he invited everyone to come watch him achieve it at Fun Spot in New Hampshire.
I said, be there. It's going to be video history. I said, I'm guaranteeing victory. So I couldn't come home without the perfect game.
And so Billy simply sat down and began to play, and play, and play.
If he made one mistake, he'd stop, even if he'd played for 3 hours. Then he'd start on the spot again. He wouldn't take a break. He'd start again, and he'd play game after game after game after game. That went on for some months.
Finally, on July 3rd, 1999, Billy had a potential winning game.
At 1.9 million, I made my first bad turn. I didn't die, but I managed to cheat death. And it was close. It was so long and so hard to achieve it to that point. I'm sitting there and I'm gripping the joystick. I thought it was going to shatter in my hand.
After a grueling 6-hour game, Billy Mitchell got his perfect score.
He's got the telephone on his shoulder, and I hear him do it. He says, okay, I did it. And then the people got on the phone and verified. The entire worldwide media covered this. This was on CNN, this was in Time magazine. This was covered by everybody, probably in every language. And Billy suddenly found himself permanently attached to the Legend of Pac-Man.
Billy became an instant celebrity and was even invited to Japan to meet the creators of the game at Namco.
When I was there in Japan, I asked them various questions, and they said to me, Mr. Mitchell, you know more about Pac-Man than we know. We never thought score like this possible.
And if his ego weren't big enough to begin with, Namco declared Billy Mitchell Video Game Player of the Century.
Video Game Player of the Century, not Pac-Man or anything else, but Video Game Player of the Century. It was probably one of the major factors was the perfect score.
When X Plays Beyond the King of Kong special continues, you'll see the explosive action-packed trailer for the King of Kong 2. But first, let's take a look at the Twin Galaxies leaderboard for what else? Donkey Kong. Here's where the world record stands today.
It's not a game, it's Ninja War.
Welcome back to X-Play Special Look Beyond the King of Kong. If you thought the documentary was full of shocking twists and turns, get ready for the King of Kong 2. The new trailer reveals an unimaginable, dark, dystopian future that might horrify you, but it's a great date movie.
August 27, 2024. Steve Wiebe set an unbeatable Donkey Kong high score. The gamers who survived the nuclear apocalypse that followed called that fateful kill screen run Judgment Day.
"14 homicides and all the victims are named Steve Wiebe."
Steve Wiebe?
Yeah?
Who are you?
Hello? My name is Steve Wiebe. I think someone is following me. I think it's Billy Mitchell.
Get down
down, Steve Wiebe. Hold on, time out. So you mean to tell me Billy Mitchell sent some sort of robot back through time to try to kill me? That's retarded.
The Billy Mitchell 1000 is programmed to kill the Donkey Kong world record holder.
I don't hold the world record!
Not yet. You don't set the record until 2024. The future is a wasteland.
Move, move, move!
Mankind is on his last extra life. With the leader of the resistance, Steve Wiebe, you must survive or it's game over for humanity. KongNet was designed by Billy Mitchell. It was created to prevent people from breaking the high score of Donkey Kong.
What went wrong?
The Donkey Kong cabinets became self-aware.
So how do we stop it? You always were a douchebag, Steve Wiebe.
You're blaming me for things I haven't even done yet.
Hey, just to let you guys know if you're interested, potential Donkey Kong kill screen coming up in just a few minutes. Kill screen coming up.
Hasta la vista, Billy. No! Steve Wiebe. Come with me if you want to live.
Hey, do you mind? I'm really busy right now. 2 screens from the kill screen. Come on now, would you go inside please and wait? I'll be there in a minute.
Does it do this to you too?
Thanks for joining us for this very special X-Play presentation.
If this show had a kill screen, it would come up right about now.
All right, see you next time.
Thanks for watching.